What exactly kind of video have you clicked on with the title of The Sexy Smolder of Dark Chocolate or something along those lines? I'm not 100% sure that's what I want to name this video, but it did get me, those words used together, paired together, and thinking about using that as a title did get me to think about chocolate, the history of chocolate, why it is that every, February 15th? That is probably, along with roses or flowers, box of chocolate or chocolates, are the most purchased thing for Valentine's Day. Because when you think of dating or intimacy, or many people in many cultures, aphrodisiac, I'm not going to go into the history or etymology of the word chocolate. I just know that there is something sexy about it, and specifically in men's fragrance, how to use it to good effect when it comes to dating or coming across in a kind of sexy, smoldering way. So I've got 7 fragrances that will buy you into the idea of dark chocolate or chocolate being a sexy fragrance note. I've got that and more coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. This video is brought to you by Nestle. No, I'm kidding. I'm not partnering with a chocolate company, although that would be a pretty cool idea. But I am talking about chocolate and how it can relate to men's fragrance. Whether you are a lover of chocolate or not, in all of its various forms, I bet the majority of you have enjoyed a cup of hot chocolate on a cold winter day. Whether you're inside or outside, there's nothing better to warm your hands, to warm your body, and to just taste amazing than a cup of hot chocolate. Second only to a cup of hot coffee. Chocolate's one of the most recognized scent profiles when it comes to foods or gourmand fragrances, and specifically for propagating this kind of smoldering, sexy ideal that you want to get across in the cologne that you're wearing. These 7 fragrances that we're going to talk about today have all of that in common. And when it comes to fragrance, there are several variations of chocolate. There's cocoa, there's cacao, there's cocoa absolute. The first sexy, smoldering, masculine cologne that has an overtone of chocolate actually doesn't have chocolate in it at all. It's just a combination of notes. In this case, styrax, coffee, tonka bean, and vanilla all come together to smell like chocolate, and it is Angel for Men by Mugler. Now, for those of you that have tried this or worn it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The first time that I wore this, I think it was to a post office, someone commented that it smelled like chocolate. This is definitely a sexy, masculine, alluring signature scent for more than just the fact that it smells like chocolate, but that is one of the highlights of it. Another fragrance that has a ton of gourmand constituents, but not chocolate, that actually has that deep, kind of dusty chocolate sensation is one by Roberto Cavalli. It is Uomo Deep Desire. Deep Desire is another foodie gourmand fragrance that just comes across powerfully evocative of something similar to chocolate. It's definitely a bit on the heavy side. It's a nighttime fragrance. It's great for cooler weather. It's perfect for dating, and it definitely has that allure factor that chocolate does. Roberto Cavalli's Uomo Deep Desire. It's all in the name. Our next fragrance has that dark, rich chocolate allure thanks to a combination of cocoa absolute, mocha, and that maninka fruit that I mentioned earlier, and that is Hugo Boss The Scent Private Accord. Private Accord is just one of those fantastic fragrances that's just, once you spray it on, you immediately know you're wearing something that's going to not only get you attention, but also compliments as well. There's pretty high compliment factor in Private Accord, not the least of which that overall chocolatey tone. The next fragrance that features that chocolate allure is actually brought to you by, again, Cocoa Absolute, and it is from an Azzaro fragrance in the Seductive 5, Amber Fever. Amber Fever is just an overall great smelling fragrance, and in this case, it's a combination of amber, incense, and Cocoa Absolute that brings you that whole chocolatey overtone. This one is super affordable, extremely pleasant, has that overall sexy smolder brought to you by the chocolate overtone. Speaking of economical, this next fragrance is by Davidoff. It's super cheap. Actually, the scent profile is quite surprising for the price that you pay. And the overall chocolate tonality is brought to you by the Cocoa Absolute and Vetiver combination in Davidoff Horizon. Horizon kind of sort of smells a bit like Terra d'Hermes, but it has that little bit of darkness at its heart that is very captivating and reminds you of dark chocolate, and that's what brings it into the realm of that sexy smoldering. And again, you'll be very surprised at how little you'll have to pay to get you there. The next dark chocolate rich alluring fragrance is specifically slated towards the whole chocolate vibe, also a niche fragrance, and it's unisex, Chocolate Greedy by Montal. Chocolate Greedy is just that. It opens with dried fruits and bitter orange, then you go into that cocoa absolute, and you've got a base of bourbon vanilla. Let's face it, chocolate is just a harsher, darker, threaded version of vanilla. So vanilla has that whole rough and ready, lightly dry. Chocolate comes in different sweetnesses. Most of these fragrances are a bit on the sweeter side, but they ride that fine line without being too sweet, and that's what makes them perfect for that whole smoldering, sexy date night vibe that you're going for. This next fragrance brings Cocoa Absolute, Tolu Balm, benzoin, and dark leathers together for an overall tonal quality that's very, very chocolate-like. One of the best bad attitude fragrances that's just simply fun to wear is John Varvatos' Dark Rebel Rider. Now this is one of those fragrances that you definitely want to wear for a specific purpose. It's not one of those that everyone can get away with, but the dark heart that it carries definitely has that whole smoldering, alluring chocolate vibe, brought to you by the notes that were previously mentioned. And man, let me just tell you, for the price point, this one is an A-list performer. John Varvatos' Dark Rebel Rider. The last of our smoldering, sexy chocolate fragrances is one that I've talked about in the last several videos. I know I keep going back to it, but I'm actually very, very pleased with the way this fragrance performs, how it overall smells, and how many compliments it actually pulls. It's a newer fragrance by Carolina Herrera. It is Bad Boy Extreme. Yes, we're going right back to that Cocoa Absolute because that's what's at the heart of this. And when you spray it on, you immediately get that whole chocolate sense. And again, whether you're a lover of chocolate or not, this fragrance will buy you into the idea that it has that sexy appeal. And specifically for men's fragrance, this one has it all. So if you have an opportunity, if you haven't tried out Bad Boy Extreme, or if you do have some of the Bad Boy fragrances like the original, that also has that Cocoa Absolute, though it's not quite as chocolatey, but it will be appropriate as well. Combination of cocoa and black pepper in that one. So that's a wrap on 7 colognes that have that dark, smoldering, sexy chocolate appeal. And again, whether you like chocolate or not is inconsequential to other people actually liking these fragrances on you. I guarantee you that if you wear any one of these, you will get compliments. At the very least, you'll get noticed. And in specific, as a date night fragrance, it's hard to beat these. However, if you know of a fragrance that has that chocolate that's one of your favorites, or one of these is your favorite, please let everyone know in the comments down below. Always love to get your feedback. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in to today's video. As always, I really appreciate your support on my channel. Keep coming back. I've got more new content coming every day. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video review.